صلوات الله.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Assalatu wassalamu ala rasulihil kareem wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Faman tabi'ahum bi ihsanin ala yawmiddin amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace, mercy and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon all of us. My name is Muhammad Azmatullah and I will be your host for the day, inshallah. It's a great pleasure and honor to have you all as our guests today. Today, we are all digitally connected through our digital devices for this digital literacy conference on a digital platform. That's too much of digital, isn't it? Well, that has become the need of the hour, and that is the reason why Self-Help for Youth has organized this digital literacy conference to benefit and empower the youth to connect, learn, grow, and to contribute back to the society. On behalf of Self-Help for Youth, I welcome you all wholeheartedly for this one-of-a-kind digital literacy conference. We have gathered here today to enlighten ourselves with knowledge and the need to stay abreast with this fast-paced world, especially during this pandemic situation. We'll begin our program today, inshallah, with the recitation of the glorious Quran. I request Brother Nisar Ahmed Sharif to please grace us with the recitation of the Holy Quran. Brother Nisar Ahmed.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. In the name of Allah, most gracious and most merciful. Read, in the name of your Lord, who has created all that exists. He has created man from a clot. Read, and your Lord is the most gracious, who has taught by the pen. He taught man that which he knew not. Surah Al-Alaq, verse 1 to 5. Jazakumullah.
Jazakumullah khair, brother. Indeed, those verses really spell out the importance of learning in Islam and how seeking knowledge is obligation in Islam. With this, I would like to bring about all the panelists that we have today, the wonderful panelists who would be sharing, who would be enlightening, who would be guiding us with their knowledge. All our panelists, alhamdulillah, have joined us from all across the world. We have brothers joining us from the United States. We have brothers joining us from the UK and from Malaysia. Of course, we are all here from India as well. Moving further with today's program, I request Dr. Muhammad Ibrahim to please welcome the gathering. Dr. Muhammad Ibrahim is the founder of Self-Help for Youth, and he has held many important positions in his career spanning 20 years in the IT, and he has been instrumental in successfully leading mega IT projects across the Middle East and the world. He has been trained by prominent scholars in Islamic personality and leadership skills. He plays a major role in self-development, career guidance, and employment for thousands of youth across the world. Dr. Ibrahim, with the welcome address and the introduction of Self-Help for Youth.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي زدني علما. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. It's a great pleasure and honor to welcome all of you for this digital literacy conference inauguration session. Self-Help for Youth is an online platform which aims at bringing the hidden talents of youth. As you are aware, all over the world, the youth are playing an increasingly important role in the development of themselves and their communities. In order to benefit and empower them, Self Help for Youth has launched this online initiative. It's a platform with an objective to connect, learn, grow, and contribute back to the society. Alhamdulillah, we have created a synergy to empower these youth by pulling together individuals who excels in their respective fields. We mainly focus on Islamic knowledge development, personality skills, employability, and entrepreneur skills. We hope with this initiative, we can empower youth from school and colleges across. I once again welcome all of you. Thank you very much.
We will now have a small video explaining what self-help for youth is. Jazakumullah khair, Brother Dr. Ibrahim, for the crisp description of what self-help for youth is. And indeed, it is a very noble initiative, and we hope and pray that self-help for growth goes a long way in empowering the youth of today to become the leaders of tomorrow. Today, we live in a society which is inundated with double quotes, hashtags, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram seem to have become the common household names. We've moved from 3G to 4G, and now 5G is coming along. And what comes next only makes the previous ones obsolete, and the transformation cycle is so quick that you can easily be outdated. Moving forward with the program, it is now time to introduce our chief guest and our keynote speaker. He's an eminent member of the community, an epitome of what hard work and dedication can achieve. He's been instrumental in setting up many firsts for the community, including Ikhlas IS Academy, a person who has dedicated himself for the service to humanity and education in particular. He's the president of Ikhlas IS Academy. He's the secretary of Organization of Muslim Education Institutes and Association of Tamil Nadu. He is a familiar face in numerous charitable organizations across India. He's the managing director of Professional Couriers and Repute Packaged Drinking Water. He's the chairman of Unity Group of Schools. Please join me in welcoming our chief guest, Janab Ahmed Miran Sahab.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. My friend Mr. Ibrahim and my dear panelists, Mr. Salim Durrani, Jagir Hussain, Ilamuddin Haiku, Dr. Abdul Qadir Rashid, Nizar Ahmad Sarif, Ashfaq Khan Gori, and Mr. Muhammad Azmatullah, moderator. and all what of this program, empowering and educating the students with the power of digital world. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Indeed, it is my pleasure to be here in this program, empowering and educating the students with the power of digital world by self-help for youth. Normally, literacy means somebody's ability to read and write. But when you say that digital literacy means ability of an individual to find, evaluate, and compose clear information through various digital platforms. As rightly told by our Azmatullah, that nowadays we are all living in a digital world. I want to convey that I think I am a 65 years old man, and I have seen the development of the digital technology right from my school days. We all know that initially students those days were very much interested to join typewriting classes to equip themselves that kind of skill to communicate, to write and communicate. That is the era where students used to go to typewriting institutes. So with the advent of typewriters, as well as then electronic typewriter, then telephones, then as well as telegraph machines, the communications was established among the community. Then after that, the computer was invented. Then by the advent of internet, our communication has expanded across the world. So now, with the advent of internet, so many things are happening in this world. Now this internet is making a revolution among the society, among the community, in various fields. I can give some examples how this digital literacy is applied to various fields. First, I can take the education. All of you know that in education nowadays, in each and every school have smart boards to teach their children, to teach their school children with smart boards. With the available smart boards, the teacher can easily demonstrate various kinds of illustrations, various kind of topics easily to the students. We all know that in COVID-19, almost across the world, all students are now online classes because of this digital revolution, digital literacy. So in education, this digital technology is widely used. Number two, I can say society. Overall, the society is using this digital technology to their great advantage. The digital platforms like WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, and creating their own websites and the blogs are helping the society to pass their information then and there, and also to get benefited through their messages. We all know during this COVID-19 how we have been bombarded with a lot of messages through WhatsApp about COVID-19. It's how to tackle it, how to face it, how to protect you. So many advantages are there to the digital literacy. Then I can say that workforce. The third is workforce. Now every employee is expected to be digitally literate. If he is not digitally literate, whatever qualification he has, if he doesn't have the digital literacy, definitely he becomes illiterate. So the kind of importance being given that everybody should know, should be digitally literate. They should be good in various skills like Excel. They should be good in analytical skills, and also they should know various kind of software knowledge. That is a must for each and every employee to be successful. Then, of course, healthcare. Healthcare nowadays, see now, as far as my personal experience concerned, even for a simple blood test, I can get the result through email. I need not go and collect the blood test. Nowadays, due to the online, due to the COVID-19, now doctors are being consulted through the online, and the medical advice are being given to the patients through the online. So much of development is happening. Likewise, in entrepreneurship, industries, and space research, everywhere the digital technology is playing a vital role. So accordingly, this is the right step taken by our self-help for youth to equip the students with more knowledge about digital technology, digital literacy. Definitely, our efforts will definitely go a long way in empowering and educating the students with the power of digital world. Appreciate the efforts taken by our brother Mr. Ibrahim, as well as other panelists for their force and their knowledge sharing in this great conference. I hope this will be a successful conference, and by this, all of our students will get benefited. I wish all the best. Thank you very much. All the best.
Jazakumullah khair, Miran Sahab, for those inspirational words. There's always something that we learn from you every time you speak. You're definitely a true inspiration for the community. Well, moving forward with today's program, I'm sure that you'll all agree our world has always been in a race between technology and education. Our past, as Miran Sahab has rightly suggested that earlier, it was typewriter. People were vying to get trained on typewriters. Now, there's been a race between technology and education. And most of the times we have seen that these two go hand in hand. There are some points in history where technology has raced way far ahead and education can barely keep up the pace with the technology. It is the acceptance and adaptation of technology that makes Apple and Amazon scale the heights that they are today. And at the same time, we have also seen so many conglomerates, so many giants which were doing businesses which were raised off as dust just because they couldn't stay abreast with the technology, with the changes that were brought about by technology. This is a digital literacy conference. So what exactly do we mean by digital literacy? We often get confused between digital skills and digital literacy. Digital literacy is distinct from computer literacy and digital skills. Computer literacy preceded the digital literacy. Well, digital literacy, we can say, is the combination, rather more than just a combination of two terms, digital and literacy. Digital information, the way we process, and the knowledge that we have. That makes us digitally literate. We can also say that digital literacy does not replace the traditional forms of literacy. It just builds a foundation of transformation. The traditional forms of literacy, they would stay. Digital literacy just allows individuals to communicate and learn through a plethora of ways. Well, digital literacy or digital technology has been rapidly developing in diverse fields, including mobile communications, robotics, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, printing, and now we are in the fourth industrial revolution. All these topics, inshallah, will have all the speakers speaking on each of these topics in the weeks to follow, inshallah. And we are already experiencing the profound change that these new technologies bring to the way we live, we work, we interact, and the way we do business. On these lines, let us get started with the journey of knowledge. I would like to call upon our first speaker for the day, who's a renowned technology expert who's been working on cloud and emerging technologies. He's been associated with NetApp and HP, helping industries across verticals in delivering innovation through technologies. He's a strategist and technology advisor who's actively engaged with startup initiatives. He's also an evangelist, advisor, consultant, and advocate for cloud and emerging technologies. He has an ME in computer science from Anna University. He's joining us from the United States of America. Please welcome Mr. Salim Durrani to speak on the Industry 4.0 trends. Mr. Salim Durrani.
Thank you, brother. Assalamu alaikum. And inshallah, with Allah's grace, all of you are staying safe and staying healthy. So welcome you to this conference. And let me quickly take you on a journey through what's happening in the industry in the last few years and how industry is shaping up. The future looks very exciting. So if we go back, right, we as humans have always been interested in computers, in the science of computing, and that has translated in us trying to see that, can we make these computing machines more intelligent? What is the science of creating intelligent machines? Are these machines, are these computers, can we make them thinking machines? Can we make them do inferencing? Can we make them do prediction? And that started our journey into artificial intelligence, which is the simulation of human intelligence in machines, especially in computers. So if you look at the 80s, we were looking at rule engine, we were looking at semantic networks. If you look at 1980s, we turned towards humans for inspiration. We looked at the brain and we saw, how are we processing intelligence? How are we able to reason? How are we able to think logically? And then we said, okay, fine, let's draw a parallel from human brains and let's create what is called as a neural network. It's a system of neurons that are connected together that tries to give us intelligence, right? So that was the birth of the beginning chapter of artificial intelligence with neural networks. We started creating artificial neural networks in 1980s, but the hardware technology was not available. We did not have computers that were powerful enough to decode this neural network and come up with reasoning, come up with human level of intelligence, right? Enter the year 2005, 2006, when computing became ubiquitous. Everybody had access to computing capability, right? So that created the dawn of artificial intelligence in a commercial space, right? So we started thinking about machine learning, right? So how do we enable computer systems the ability to automatically learn without being explicitly programmed? So that was the field that came out of the merger of the thought process on artificial intelligence with neural network and the hardware capability that allowed us to do the processing. Along came deep learning, which is another form of machine learning. Now, these fields, if you look at it, right, it's so prevalent everywhere. Look at image recognition. So you want to do fraud detection, use artificial intelligence. You want to do natural language processing, speech recognition, right? Along comes artificial intelligence to help you out. So the concept of artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning using artificial neural network became a foundation for many of these inference processing and probably led us towards our goal of trying to make machines more intelligent, trying to make computer systems more intelligent. Now, if you look at this one, what we have today is what is called as the artificial narrow intelligence. That's because the machine can do one thing, or the computer systems can do one thing, and they can do one thing very well. So they are not intelligent across the broad spectrum of things, right? If you have an intelligent system that does fraud detection, it can only do that. If you have an intelligent system like what you have at home, Echo or Amazon Alexa, that can do natural language processing, that can do speech recognition. If you have a intelligent system for stock market prediction, that can do stock market prediction. So these are called artificial narrow intelligence. And now, so we started thinking along what is the next stage in evolution? Can we make these machines be more general intelligent, right? So what is artificial general intelligence? Can you have a machine? Think of it this way. Can you have a machine or a robotic system that can come home, that can have a conversation with you, and you don't even know whether it's a machine or a human, and then can it cook dinner for you and then serve dinner and have a conversation with you, intelligent conversation with you, and leave your house? So that is the field of artificial general intelligence. So the machine can do multiple things similar to human intelligence. I'm saying that we are simulating human intelligence using artificial neural network. So now, if you take that a little further, right? If the machines can do multiple things, if they are intelligent enough to do multiple things, then machines, it takes humans about 20 years to evolve. But if you look at a machine, right, it is going to be continuously evolving, right? In a night, about 720 minutes, it can evolve 720 generations. So at some point in time, the machine is going to surpass human intelligence. Will it happen? Allah only knows. But the thought process is that the machines will evolve and reach a stage where we call singularity, where the machine can go beyond human intelligence. And this is called artificial superintelligence, right? So look at the fascinating field of AI. And this is the field all of us have to get involved, because it doesn't matter what industry you're in, what field you're in, artificial intelligence can play a role, whether it's a financial systems for fraud detection, whether it's healthcare system for disease diagnostics, whether it is genetics, wherein you try to look at the genes, try to find out what are the good genes, what are the diseases that you may have, and try to apply proactive cure. So, I mean, image recognition, right? For security controls, there's so many opportunities of machine learning, application of artificial intelligence. That is one thing we have to be very cognizant of, right? So let me go a little further, right? So we're talking about computers having intelligence. Now, what about the billions of things in the world, right? Think of the days you had a phone wherein you can just make a phone call. Now with your phone, you can do anything. You can read books, listen to music, you can have video conference, you can do any number of things. So how did that transformation happen? By connecting your phone to the internet and by having data that comes from the device to the internet and doing processing on the data, you're able to create value from the data. And this whole concept is called Internet of Things, connecting your device to the internet and using the data to do processing, right? Meaningful processing. And this led to another field called Internet of Things. And the Internet of Things has been so prevalent that you can do anything. You can be sitting in Malaysia and you can be closing your garage door in the US. So the funny thing is that when I tell my kids, go close the garage door, they ask me, should I call Alexa or should I use my cell phone? Gone are the days when people get up and go to the garage to close the door, right? Things are evolving fast, right? At a very fast pace. Now, the next thing is that, right? So we talked about artificial intelligence, we talked about machine learning, we talked about deep learning, we talked about artificial general intelligence and artificial superintelligence. Then we talked about IoT, connecting devices to the internet and making them very smart. What is next, right? If you look at cryptocurrency, right, it gives you an opportunity to create a peer-to-peer system. And that has been, the foundation for that is what is called a technology called blockchain, right? So it is a peer-to-peer network. It is a decentralized, immutable distributed ledger that allows you to connect peer-to-peer and do anything of economic value, right? The best use of that is cryptocurrency, right? It was started in the year 2009 by Satoshi Nakamoto. And then we have lots of cryptocurrency today. But in addition to that, the underlying technology, blockchain, became so famous, so powerful. It can be used for anything. It can be used for provenance, right? If you're sitting in a restaurant and having dinner, you know exactly what was the source of the food that you're eating and all the way up to your table, right? You can do art validation, you can do provenance validation, you can do electronic passports. There's so many, the opportunities are endless. If you look at all these things, right? So how do you get AI? AI needs machines with a lot of computing power. IoT needs machines with a lot of computing power. Blockchain needs a lot of computing power. Now, you can't just go build a data center to support all these ecosystems. So what are you going to do, right? The thing is that along comes cloud, right? Cloud is an on-demand consumption of computing resources that you can pay as you go. So you have computing power, which is CPU, which is memory, which is storage. You have applications, you have platform that you can consume. All you need is a credit card and you need to have some money in it. So click the card and then you have the entire computing power at your disposal. Now you see how all these things are converging together. I mean, the ecosystem is becoming broader and the ecosystem is also getting meshed together. And this is a great opportunity, right? So look at some of the big players, right? So you have Amazon, you have Google, you have Microsoft, and you have Ali. All of them have invested so much money in artificial intelligence, in IoT capability, in blockchain, and also in cloud. So it has become a very pervasive ecosystem. So I just want to end with one other topic, right? So we have been doing computing. We've been using machines which know the language of binary, ones and zeros. Now, what if we, instead of the bits, ones and zeros, what if we try to look at a totally different system? What if we start going down into the quantum level? What if we get down into a subatomic level? So that is quantum computing. And quantum computing rests on two fundamental principles. One is the concept of superposition, right? Can a bit, a qubit, not a binary bit, but a qubit, take a state either 0 or 1, at the same time 0 and 1, and any state between 0 and 1? Imagine the possibilities, right? All the computers in the world today can be replaced by a 48 qubit quantum computer, right? The two concepts, one is superposition. Think of it this way. You have a cat, you put the cat in a box and put a little bit of poison in the box and you close the box, right? You do not know whether the cat is alive or the cat is dead, or whether it's alive and dead. It could be in any of the states. You'll only know when you open the box. So this is the whole concept of superposition, and this is used in quantum computing. And another concept is that, think of it, you take a photon, split it into two entangled parts, and then you shoot a part to the moon, and you have another part on Earth, right? These two parts, right, the entangled photon bits will behave in the same fashion. They will have a synchronization, and this is called quantum entanglement. So these are the concepts that are fundamental to quantum computing. And imagine the power of quantum computing, how far we can go in AI, how far we can go in IoT and blockchain, and all the other technologies that we do. So there are a few other technologies, right? Edge computing, fog computing, and things like that. But these are the things, right? So all of you are on the cusp, right? We are sitting on top of the iceberg. There's so much to do, and there's so much to explore, so much to innovate. So I wish you all the very best in not only acquiring this knowledge, but being pioneers in making a change. And inshallah, with God's blessing, with Allah's blessing, all of you will make a change to make the world a better place and to have innovation with the fourth revolution of technology. Thank you so much. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakumullah khair, Mr. Salim Durrani. Thank you so much for the impactful and quite knowledgeable session. A journey down the memory lane that was truly enlightening. I'm sure many of the participants would have many questions regarding the emerging technologies, and especially about the quantum computing that he so beautifully put forward. Please key in all your questions. Inshallah, we'll get it answered from our experts once we end this session. Well, as we move forward, we are trying to mitigate and adapt to the changes brought forward by the Industry 4.0. We see that there are great opportunities as well as challenges that we are facing with the whole world that has started incorporating digital technologies in almost all the verticals in education, computer-based adaptive learning we see today. e-learning, that is enhancing learning in schools, telemedicine, artificial intelligence, the use of big data, that there are great potentials to improve the health services all across. When we have all these opportunities opening up, there are businesses which are latching up onto all these opportunities. There are many startups which give tough competitions to the giants. There are entrepreneurs who evolve and become successful, latching up on all these opportunities. And that is where we are moving next. Our next speaker has served as a non-profit, has served in many of the non-profit Dawa organizations in various capacities, including advisor, as a program coordinator. He's been a PR manager, a global CSR manager. He also serves as an advisor and academic consultant to international schools in Malaysia. Besides his core mechanical engineering subjects, he also teaches entrepreneurship and sustainable development to undergraduate students. He is a member of Institute of Mechanical Engineers in UK, Malaysian Tribology Society, and National Graphene Association USA. He is now the assistant professor at Xiamen University, Malaysia. Joining us from Malaysia to speak on technology entrepreneurship, Dr. Abdul Khalik Rashid.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair, Mr. Moderator, Mr. Ahmed Miran, chief guest of tonight, Dr. Ibrahim, founder of Self-Help for Youth, distinguished co-panelists, and all the participants. Welcome to the conference. So first of all, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to be among this distinguished panel. So I have a short presentation. So if I can share. So can you see my screen? All right, so I hope you can see my screen. Can somebody confirm?
Yes.
Okay, so let me start with a short story here, right? So this is a story of a popular restaurant called S. So S was doing wonderful, and then suddenly the pandemic hits, and then the business comes down to literally 30%. So the people are confused, especially the boss, the founder. So boss doesn't know what to do. Then the son steps in. Son is a new generation, the alpha generation, not from the alpha generation. So what happens is he brings in all the technology, and then suddenly the business goes up from 30% all the way to 50, 60%. So the dad is good, everybody is good. At least they are hoping for the business to get better. On the other side, there is a street vendor who was doing enough to cater to his family's daily needs. And he used to do, for example, he used to sell drinks and burgers, etc., in the street. So Uncle M was terribly affected when the pandemic hit, because unlike the restaurant, which could still operate, Uncle M couldn't operate his street cart to serve his customers because the government put all this lockdown and restrictions. So Uncle was so sad and didn't know what to do. So again, Uncle's son steps and says, oh, father, here you go. I know how to sell your products. If you can ensure the quality, I will be able to sell it online. So the son brings in all the social media, digital media platforms, and then the father is able to sell not what he used to generate in his regular day-to-day street business. Rather, the revenue, gets amplified, several folds. So it's not that bad for the restaurant S compared to Uncle M, because quickly the son of restaurant S, right, the founder's son, realizes that not only the digital platforms can help, but also there is a way out to look beyond the COVID pandemic and perhaps look into different technologies as described by the earlier speaker. So a lot of technologies are coming up. So there is cloud, there is data analytics, there's numerous technologies that are coming up. So the son is aware of all this digital exciting stuff coming out. So he is able to bring all those into the traditional business. So the European Business Review says that business after COVID-19 will see drastic changes. So the change number one would be rise in flexible working, right? Number two is there is going to be increase in the need to foster global presence. So the businesses which used to operate in a very, very confined territory will no longer be doing that. Rather, they will have to expand, go global. The third conclusion from the business review is a shakeup in the real estate industry in major cities is going to happen. The fourth is increase in the automation and artificial intelligence is going to happen. A lot of businesses are going to adapt this as we move forward, or if they don't adapt, they will be forced to adapt because they wouldn't be left with any choice. Then the final lesson from this review is leadership will be more influential. So the conclusion that we can draw from this particular article published in the European Business Review is no matter how much we earn for that normalcy that used to exist before and the kind of luxury we used to enjoy by not adapting to the digital transformation, some business aspects will change forever. Not only that, businesses should understand this and start working on adaptability to the new normal. So if you look on the other side, school closure widen learning inequalities and hurt vulnerabilities, vulnerable children and youth, disproportionately. So much so that it is estimated, right, that over 1 billion children are, out of the school as we speak. So the World Economic Forum has said that up to 65% of children entering school today will have a job that does not exist. Our educational system around the world were falling before COVID-19 and will continue to fall behind unless we change the way we teach and learn. So what I'm trying to say with the quotations that I've been quoting from World Economic Forum and the European research is that the children who we used to belittle and their involvement in the information technologies and computer systems are going to be the asset for those people who are involved in the traditional businesses. So if you are an entrepreneur and you are far away from the digital technologies, then it is time for you to equip yourself with the digital skills and the digital literacy, all this kind of knowledge. And perhaps it is best time for you to involve the next generation into the businesses, different type of businesses you're involved with. Let me also give you another example. So what happens is not only sons were contributing to the father's businesses during the pandemic, a lot of sisters as well, got their hands onto digital platforms. So this is what pandemic is doing. We were already at the brink of fourth industrial revolution, but this pandemic has augmented the pace with which we were adapting the technology. So much so, the woman who never used to broadcast anything started putting up this kind of videos with not by themselves, perhaps with the help of their children. So both on this on kids, may it be male or female, you can see that the pandemic was a great opportunity for them to adapt technologies. So for example, if you happen to be an entrepreneur and you were striving to come up with solutions that contribute to alleviating the problems of the society, if you want to turn your solution into a viable business, right? So what you need to do is determine whether your innovation is addressing a long-term problem. You need to identify your long-term market, proactively pivot if you need to, and of course, you need to map your business model as well. However, the best innovations, right, are created in response to specific, urgent, and sizable problems. So the reason why I mention this again is because if you go for any valuation, right, as we speak, there are plenty of startup funding opportunities available in Malaysia, in UAE, in India, in Korea, in USA, all over the world. The venture capitals or the angel investors or whoever you go for fundraising, maybe crowdsource, right? Crowdsourcing, no matter which platform you access, what they are looking for is how fast you can scale up. So for example, I got this from one of the online assessment. So what do they ask a typical startup is, right? Whether your market is flat or shrinking, or it is growing by 10% or 30% or even more, right? Another question typically that is asked to most of the startups out there is whether the revenues are going to are expected to increase over the next 12 months, or what will be the revenue in the next 5 years. So the point is, these startups or any business that you are trying to set up right now, if you're interested in seeking investment from the investors, you have to justify and show and convince the potential investors that you are going to scale. If you are a traditional business without invoking technology, what is going to happen is the maximum growth you can achieve is, maybe 5% or 10%, 100% maximum from the way you do your conventional business. Rather, if you involve the technology, the growth is unprecedented. And this is exactly what the venture capitals are looking for in the startups which are tech-based. So the key takeaway that I will leave you with tonight is, first of all, entrepreneurs, irrespective of which industry you are, whether you're from the F&B industry or you're from the medical industry, you are from manufacturing industry, no matter which industry you belong to, you cannot evade digital literacy any further. The second takeaway is the leadership must accept the need for digital transformation. If your father is from a traditional business, or if your uncle is into some kind of business whereby he or she hasn't integrated, technology yet, I think it is time for the youngsters to educate them and tell them that if they remain the way they are, they will be swept away by this, by those companies which have adapted technology. The third key takeaway I'll leave you with is elders' experience in business dynamics and digital expertise of the youngsters can become a deadly combination, right, to beat the competitors. I think one of the things you would notice that the investors are looking for in any startup valuation is, who are your advisors? So if you happen to be a young entrepreneur, having very, very experienced people to be your advisors in your startup is something going to be really, really valuable in the eyes of the investors. So the last point is, sign up for self-help for youth's digital literacy series, because the kind of content and the kind of topics that will be covered in the next 7 weeks or so is going to literally transform the way you see the world. So with that, Jazakallah khair. Thanks for your patience and listening.
Jazakumullah khair, Dr. Khalik. That was a beautifully narrated story with a perfect model. How adapting to technology can bring about the changes in business, the forecast of how businesses would function after the COVID pandemic, and how, if they do not adapt, they will either perish or be forced to adapt. That was pretty right and pretty apt for today's scenario. And Dr. Khalik has rightly pointed out that our education system is currently falling behind in the race with technology, and it is high time that we equip ourselves with the technology. He has rightly pointed out, and we also see that there are numerous YouTube channels which are coming up every day with videos of various recipes coming up every day with home remedies, and everything that we could think of is on YouTube, and we could see hundreds and thousands of YouTube channels coming up every day. And finally, his closing remarks on how a startup should work on, and how the investors question the ability to scale up and how fast can we scale up. And that brings us to the next topic. To scale up any business would need leaders to be strong, guiding and advising in taking the organization forward. And our next speaker would guide you exactly on that. Our next speaker is a psychologist. He's a certified expert trainer. He's an NLP master practitioner and an advanced life coach with about 25 years of experience in IT, training, and education sector. He has played key roles in various positions of leadership in corporate organizations, and he has been actively involved in many social initiatives and projects. He's very closely involved with children of all ages and youth, and has been constantly nurturing and building their character and bringing out the leader within them. He's currently the CEO of Unity Group of Schools. He's also the founder of We Lead Academy for Leadership. Please welcome Mr. Nisar Ahmed Sharif to speak on the topic leadership development.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. جزاكم الله خير, Brother Azmatullah. Honorable Chief Guest, respected co-panelists, organizers, dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let me start off with a story that we all are very, very familiar with. Thirsty Crow, right? We all are familiar with Thirsty Crow. Okay, when we were kids and we learned the Thirsty Crow story, it was about the crow. There was a pot and the water level is so low. Now we all know this story. I don't have to go into how the crow finally got its final objective of, the goal of, drinking water and quenching its thirst. But if you see over the period of time, when we were kids, we had the pot which had water. Today, my son reads it with a jar or jug. And then the same crow is, putting stones inside and the water comes up. And then you see the advertisements coming up with a bottle and the crow is just throwing into a straw and drinking it. And we hope that one day crows might order, "Hi Alexa, can you, order Repute water?" Inshallah, right? So the moral of the story here is, the players are, the resources are changing. Okay, what we learn in this entire story all throughout the ages is the resourcefulness of that particular crow. Subhanallah. So we need to be, as leaders, not just looking for resources, but to be very, very resourceful, very resourceful. And rightly, our chief guest mentioned, the literal definition of, digital literacy is the ability to read and write. But when we come into, digital literacy, it's also about, being able to make sense of digital media. How we make it meaningful, it's sustainable and, ready for consumption and even for storage. One of the basic principles, for digital literacy is comprehension. Okay, comprehension, and it's the same for even any other literacy type, which means it's the ability to extract implicit or explicit ideas from a media. It's not just, like Brother Azmatullah rightly pointed, it's not about skills on specific technology. Like I mentioned in the story, the pot to the jar all the way to a bottle, it might change. But what we need are the skills, literal skills of how do we use this media. Subhanallah, look at this. The Prophet ﷺ was, we all know was not literate at all. But then that doesn't mean he was not knowledgeable. Subhanallah, he used the means of communication at that point in time as a leader to send letters to the kings surrounding Makkah. And he may not have the ability to write, but he knew how to utilize this medium of sending letters. And it was not just sending letters, but also to comprehend the reaction that each and every king gave, so as to understand what is the political scenario around him. So as a leader, we need to understand, there are certain skills that we need to have. First and foremost is to be knowledgeable. Knowledgeable not necessarily mean you be an expert in that, but at least you need to have an appreciation for what is going around. If as a leader, if you do not embrace technology, you will be left behind. As a leader, you need to be an effective communicator. And today, there are so many different ways in which you can communicate. You still have the text base, you have the voice, you have the video base. SubhanAllah, like Brother Azmatullah mentioned, we are here today. And those who could understand and appreciate are today participating. And those who could not, they will participate and watch these videos later. But those who never embrace technology will not even know what's been happening around, right? So as a leader, we need to be effective communicators, and we need to understand how to utilize the tools and technology around us that will help us, enable us to be effective communicators, that will help us to bring clarity within us and with the people around us. And it will help us to connect, inspire, persuade, and guide, and assure the team members that we lead for the goal that we are trying to achieve. Leaders are also great problem solvers, right? Today, we need to take decisions, but we can't take decisions because there's so much of information, more than information, I would say there's so much of noise, which has all the correct information and the fake information. So as a leader, you need to have the ability to know how to search. How many people know how to search properly on Google? Right? That makes or breaks everything. I might have my peer sitting next to me. We both have the same system, but the results that he may get or she may get, depending on what search they put in, varies. And there are many other factors that changes the thing. But as leaders, we need to understand how to search for information, how to compare, analyze, and we can't today take decisions just like that. Today is a day where you take decisions which are informed decisions. So before someone says, brother, why don't you change this? I might want to ask them, what do we know about it? So there's a lot of data that we might want to collect, analyze, simulate, and come up with strategies and action plans to go forward. So as leaders, we need to be good problem solvers so that we take informed decisions. And as leaders, we also need to be good in building relationships. And no technology can change, how we build relationship one-on-one. But today, if we are, each and every one of us is sitting in a different location, a different time zone, but yet we are here connected. So we need to understand how to utilize the right tool for the right job. One big mistake that many leaders make is whatever is there, they just use it. For example, someone might use WhatsApp for something which it's not intended for, right? If you have tasks that you want to follow through, WhatsApp may not be the right one. You might have a totally different task management tool which has the chat along with it, right? So we need to understand what are the tools that we have to solve problems and to build relationships. And leaders are also always looking for giving and receiving feedback. And today there are different ways in which you can get feedback, different ways in which you can in terms of education, we also not just say feedback. Feedback is something which you get after something happens. We also do feed forward so that we can change things moving forward. So we need to understand what are the best tools that are available, how I can bring them together. So one of the principles of digital literacy is also to understand interdependency of different things that are available. How one media supplements or supplements another media form. So we need to, as leaders, we need to understand this also to be able to move forward. Like I mentioned earlier, a leader should be resourceful. And if you understand this interdependence of technology, I had been working in big companies, large companies. Not always we have access to the tools that you need, but then you still have to complete your job. So that's the time when you understand, okay, maybe I copy something from here and paste it in somewhere else. From there, I convert this into something else and bring it forward in the way I need it. You may not have the tools. And because our audience, majority of them are, into education, your learning students are there. So you need to look at being resourceful. Don't start blaming, I don't have a mobile phone. Don't start blaming, I don't have this particular app. Do what you can. You have to be resourceful. Recently, we heard of a story of a boy who used to go into Samsung, showroom, where there's a device for anybody to just look at, and he used to complete his homework there. Okay, be resourceful, and as leaders, we need to be able to manage change. And change today, it's very, very fast. And one of the drawbacks of frequent change and quick change in this is being unable to take decisions. So as leaders, we also need to learn how to manage change, how to move forward. And another principle of digital literacy, which we need to share it along with the leadership skills, is the curation, or the way we store data for a future use. We all started off with this kind of a digital hoarding. Anything you see, you want to save. Anything you see, you want to download. We download, we save and store and store and store, but we don't. We end up not using it. So we need to be able to understand how we store information so that we retrieve it later for a better use. It could be as simple as giving a proper heading for your email, so that it's easier for you to search in a later date. How you tag things, how you make things easy for you to be able to use in future. And remember, because it's all about problem solving, making informed decisions, so we become smart good users who understand how to comprehend on different technologies that are available, so that we are digitally literate. We understand the interdependencies among the medias. We also understand the social factors involved in being digitally literate. It's not about just sharing, because when you share, it's not just sharing, you also create your own new message while you share. So it's very, very important on who is sharing, to whom you're sharing, on what channels you're sharing. That also creates a new digital media. So you're able to create, you're able to use it, you are able to comprehend, understand its interdependencies, and also be able to use media for a later date. For all these things related to the leadership aspect, is we need to be effective communicators. We need to be able to have informed decision making, problem solving skills, and be able to maintain relationships and get the feedback that we want. So don't just think this leadership that we are talking about is only for those who are working. You as a student should also understand that you need to have these leadership skills to take charge and have goals for your own education, and understand that going forward, the entire education system is turning around to being more digitally dependent. So I wish all of you all goodness in this world and the hereafter, and may Allah make things easy for us to understand and become more digitally literate and digitally aware, and be smart users than just consumers. Over to you, Brother Azmatullah. Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakumullah khair, Brother Nisar Ahmed. That was a good story about the crow, how we have evolved from the pot to the bottle, and maybe moving forward, we don't know where we're going to move ahead. And as he rightly pointed out, we need to be resourceful leaders, and how we use the resources to our benefit, and how a leader should explore to know what is best suited for his requirement, and accepting feedback to grow and take calculated decisions. If we surround ourselves with only people who say yes to our decisions, then we would not exist anymore. Where our decisions make or break the business as leaders. I remember once in an interview, Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, while he was speaking, he was said how far-sighted a leader should be, and how the top management in Amazon works. He mentioned that the vice presidents in Amazon are paid for the decisions that they take. And it's not on the hard work that they do, it is about the decisions, the calculated, mindful decisions that they take to bring the company forward, that they are paid. And how Amazon is now currently working on something where Amazon would be 15 years from now. That is the farsightedness that a leader should possess. We need to be effective communicators and problem solvers as leaders, as rightly pointed out by Mr. Nisar Ahmed Sharif. We need to learn new skills. We should not be saturated from learning. We need to unlearn and relearn and adapt to the skills that we need for the day. And that is what brings us to the next topic. Our next speaker has an MBA from the University of Madras with specialization in sales and marketing. And predictably, after sales and marketing, he started his career in sales and marketing. He's been with Wipro for over 9 years right now in the role of a manager, learning and development. He's got overall 23 years of experience in his career. He's been championing and leading many behavioral programs and initiatives across the, excuse me, he's led many behavioral programs and initiatives across organizations in different levels. He's also facilitated leadership programs in the Middle East regions of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Oman. Please welcome Mr. Ashwaq Khan Guri to speak on learning and development.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Azmatullah. Well, assalamu alaikum to all of you. It's a pleasure. It's really a pleasure to be amidst the esteemed August panel. And every one of you talking and sharing about the importance of this buzzword that has got every one of us, which is digital literacy, right? I'm going to touch upon two very important aspects in the context of digital literacy. The first one being change, right? And in the journey of change involving all of us. And the second one being, most importantly, the learning and development, the impact of digital literacy in learning and development, and I'll take it forward from there. So when we say that digital literacy is the buzzword and there is a lot of change that is happening around us, always quotations, come to our mind. When we talk about change is inevitable, change is constant, and change is always, you have to move out of your comfort zone and so on. And there are various statistics as well, with regard to digital literacy, by saying that PwC says that 79% of the CEOs or the leadership are really thinking about how can they upskill, the members who are there in the organization in a digital literacy, context. And you have Gartner also saying that 80% of the jobs will require digital skills. So it is the writing on the wall. It is right there. But as this disruptions, change, innovation, and creativity is actually happening, right? And creativity is one of the key elements of digital literacy. So let me share some of scenarios or examples in front of you, as shared by the earlier panelist as well. We've all heard of this driverless car. Imagine two people sitting inside a car, and the car is going by itself. They're just working on their laptop. There is no driver, and it's leading to their respective destination. Amazing, phenomenal technology. If you come back to home, you have a smart fridge, right? And let's say the smart fridge kind of takes care of, takes the stock of whatever is available inside the fridge. And let's say some of the, whatever needs to be there is not there. 2 water bottles are not there. The smart fridge actually, places an order to the grocery shop, and the order gets delivered home. We've also had experiences of whenever we travel, we will have to pull our suitcases, trolleys, and so on, and we go forth. But here is a smart suitcase which you need not pull, but it travels along with you as you go. It follows you. And that is the digital disruption that is happening. And why is this happening? Because of the technology that has been inbuilt in each of those examples that I mentioned. When we are talking about these technologies, and there is a very important reflection point for all of us to think about, right? All of us attending the session as well. It is that when Gartner is saying, and when PW is saying, and there is a tremendous amount of disruption happening, and there is tremendous amount of creativity, if I have to be part of this futuristic innovation, if I have to kind of bring forth certain ideas, right? And I think it is very, very important for us to therefore get digitally skilled in each of these areas, not just one, but in each of these areas. That will really, really help us build these innovative ideas that are coming there. There are a number of examples. Examples were shared earlier as well. But bringing it back to the educational institutions, there is a phenomenal work that's being done in terms of imparting the knowledge. But there is a gap that probably needs to be fulfilled in terms of equipping everybody to get digitally skilled and therefore be relevant in today's context. Now, moving it forward to the learning and development space, uh, you know, uh, the writing was there on the wall, but we were not seeing it. We were always thinking that face-to-face classroom sessions is something which is going to be there forever. It's not going to move away. But the fact of the matter is that change happened like a tsunami. Almost everything, every learning right now is online and it's virtual. And we as learning development professionals are exploring these collaboration tools and inducing creativity into it. Tools like Yammer, tools like MS Teams, tools like WebEx, concept board, and so on are really being used to see how we can enhance the learner's experience. So that is the very first thing that is happening in the learning and development space, right? The second most important thing is today the learning is just a click a button away. It's just a click away, right? And it's right there at the tap of your mobile phone. The moment you tap, you have those apps coming up, and therefore the learning is right there for you, and it has become on-demand learning. And therefore, learning and development is really trying to see how we can provide this on-demand learning to the learners out there, right? There's a huge amount of exploration that is happening with those collaboration tools. And very, very importantly, what is also happening is, yes, learning management systems are there. It is moving in the direction of creating a learning experience platform, right? For example, if somebody, let's say he spends in one team for some time and he works there and he suddenly moves into another team, right? This learning experience platform gives an opportunity, because he has to get up to speed when he goes to the other team. So there is an artificial intelligence element built into that. And therefore, this particular learner is able to learn at a pace absolutely fast and get up to speed and get going. So that is also playing a major role when it comes to the role of learning and development. The other thing that is also happening is cohort-based learning, which is all about group learning that we can create, again, digital group learning that we can create, where it is entirely contextualized. The learning is absolutely personalized, and therefore this peer-to-peer coaching is happening. And the biggest added advantage to that is with the experiential learning element involved in it, which is again created virtually. So there is a lot of exploration which is happening. Not to forget the area of gamification, even in a virtual environment, that is being explored, right? There are a lot of gamification simulations that are being tried out so that the learning can connect with the learners, and therefore they can go ahead and take certain action plans and implement those learnings that they have kind of experienced. The most important thing is the knowledge management, right? Each and every person out there has tremendous amount of knowledge. So how do we actually sum up this knowledge and put it in a digital platform? You already have a lot of YouTube videos are there. You have the MOOCs, massive open online courses that are doing a phenomenal help in terms of sharing the knowledge and learn. When I said it's a click away, it's almost become free. But the most important job of a learning and development function right now to kind of bring everybody up to the digital speed is the curation of learning, the content. Because as Brother Nisar said, there is so much information out there. But for that relevant role, for that relevant business, can we curate that particular content and provide that on demand to the learner is something which is a major disruption and major exploration that is happening, right? When all of this is happening in the learning and development space, there's one other, very important element, particularly with this digital natives, the generation that is born with the digital technology, who are very fast in kind of grasping all of this. We're also looking at an approach of a gig economy, wherein they want to be their own boss and they want to learn at their own pace and contribute in their own manner. Right now, if this is the pace at which everything is moving in the direction of change, it's not a breeze anymore. Like I said, it's more of a tsunami that is actually happening. But the most important thing, let me kind of rewind back to the change examples that I talked about. You know, 2 3 years ago we were talking about artificial intelligence, IoT, blockchain, big data, all of these aspects as a niche skill. But today, it has really come into the mainstream. It has really come into the mainstream of each and every one of our life. And therefore, the thought with which I want to leave all of you with, uh, digital literacy is going to stay. And if we have to be relevant, I think we need to really adhere, start learning this particular skills uh, as quickly as possible and try to master it as quickly as possible. The only thought that I want to leave all of you with is, if not now, when is the answer? I think it's an opportunity which we need to kind of look at to make a difference not only to yourself but to the organization that you might get into, but most importantly to the society. And on that note, I would kind of pause right here and would say Jazakallahu khairan. Thank you very much.
Jazakumullahu khair, brother. That was truly amazing and truly the need of the hour. And highlighting the importance that 79% of the CEOs are thinking about how they can upskill the resources. That is definitely that every single person should think about as an employee. And as you have rightly mentioned, there's tremendous development and creativity happening around us and at dizzying pace. Driverless cars, smart fridges, online ordering and delivery, smart suitcases. The technology is just moving forward, and if we do not keep a pace, then we would be left behind. While, as you rightly said, learning professionals are constantly exploring new tools available for them to make the learning experience much better from the on-demand learning management system is moving towards learning experience platform. And now we are interacting on digital platforms. And to stay ahead, we need digital literacy. If not, then when? That is rightly and it is precise. I would rather say that if not, then maybe never, because we would be eliminated. So moving on this note, our next expert speaker is a project lead at McAfee, which is located in the Silicon Valley, US. He has served as a board member at Muslim Community Association of San Francisco Bay Area, which is located in California, USA. He is an activist, he's a social worker, and he's also the founder of Global Tamil Muslim Media. His GTM, or Global Tamil Muslim Media, is also our media partners for today. He's joining us from the USA to speak on social development. Please welcome Brother Nilamuddin Shaihu.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ashrafil mursaleen. Habibina, Shafina, Murshidina, Maulana Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Viewers of Global Tamil Muslim Media around the globe and distinguished panelists, indeed it's a great pleasure and honor for me to be here as one of the panelists. And also I want to take this opportunity and thank the Self-Help for Youth organization partnering with the Global Tamil Muslim Media for this beautiful initiative. But the topic that was given to me is social development. How the digital literacy is helping in the social development, and how important is that? NGO particularly, so non-governmental officers, and voluntarism and non-government office not new to our community, Muslims in general. It is in our DNA. If we go back to the history of Islam, and not only they gave their time, they also gave whatever they had, everything. So the incident that comes to our mind, that when Prophet ﷺ asked the companions to bring something to share for the communities around, people brought whatever they could do. But he's one of the best companion, Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and he brought everything. When Prophet ﷺ asked him, so what did you bring? He said, I brought everything. So what did you leave home? I said, he said, I left Allah and Rasul at home. So not only they are just volunteering their time, they gave whatever they had, everything. That is the volunteering perspective. And managing the social organizations like what they have, the bank, Islamic bank, and those days I forgot the name of the things in the Arabic term. That one, the managing the big budget and allocating them, all these things are in DNA. But what is changing now? So what is important now in this era, the digital era that we are living in, is so digital literacy, right? So to take any non-profit organization, I'm sure they are familiar with Excel sheet. That's where they have been playing for last several decades, right? Nowadays, starting from creating the flyers and promoting them and presentation videos, generally marketing the thing about your organization, it's all done through the digital literacy. Communication, how important the communication is, I don't have to emphasize on that, right? The social media that we have right now, it's a Facebook and the Twitters, it's controlling the world. Anything that you wanted to shout out with any appreciation for any government officer, so just to one tweet can go viral. Or if you wanted to highlight the things that's happening which is inappropriate, if you wanted to bring the attention, bring that one particular to the attention of the world population, just to one Twitter, that can go viral and immediately they respond to it. So this shows the social media, how impactful is that, how powerful is that. So what we have to do as organizations, and especially the organizations that are operating in third world countries, so they have to be equipped with these new technologies, particularly on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube channels. And if you have the good communication around there, and people can connect with you, people can understand what is going on a day-to-day basis, any new initiative that is happening, and any important messages that you wanted to convey to the bigger audience, the social media is the place right now. So thanks to the technology, because of the technology, we are connecting here today from different part of the world, alhamdulillah. And going on with the social media impact, online conferences, ever since the pandemic started, people are very busy online. People used to be busy going outside for any social gatherings and things like that. But since all the pandemic started, they are very busy on online. Nowadays, most of the conferences, workshops, seminars, everything is happening online, right? So the non-profit organization they have to learn so how to do that, how to do this kind of programs online successfully, efficiently. So the one great advantage is It doesn't matter where you are. You can be in any part of the world. Just to one click, we all come together for any good new initiatives like what we are doing here, how we are doing today for this wonderful initiative. So there are things happening here. Everything, all the informations are stored in cloud. So whenever you are talking to any corporate companies, they will always say data with cloud. The whole thing is moving to the cloud. Even the non-profit organization, they have started using it here, started storing the information on cloud so that this can be shared if it is a multi national organization. So worldwide they have a network. So the best way they are doing it, they are moving everything into cloud. And they're also slowly moving into artificial intelligence and data science and big data and things like that. Then one important aspect that I'm sure aware of it, the crowdfunding. You know, as I said, it doesn't matter where you are, and as long as you are connected digitally, you can be part of any community. You can be part of any new initiative. You can give for any new initiative that is happening around the world. So crowdfunding is the main thing for any new thing is happening. Somebody somewhere is going through difficulties. If they create a campaign within an hour, they can raise enough money for supporting the particular family. So the non-profit organizations, so they should equip with all these new technologies. So not only they are just creating awareness, they also have to educate their own staff so that they can be better at it, so that they can be well organized, and they can lead a better organization and with a beautiful communication around the globe that the people are living. Now, I wanted to end with the beautiful thing, the leadership, as I mentioned it, right? Not only they are accepting is yes, the digital literacy is needed, but they also have to focus on how to educate their own the team so that they can well equipped with this and serve the community in a better way in this social and digital era. Thank you very much again for giving the GTM opportunity to be partner with this wonderful initiative. I'm sure this will bring a lot of hype and people will be benefiting from it. Thank you very much, Mr. Azmatullah.
Jazakumullah khair,
Back to you.
brother Nilabuddin Saihu. Inshallah, we all hope that this initiative of self-help for youth goes a long way, and it becomes a pioneering organization in helping the youth become leaders of tomorrow. And as you've rightly pointed out, Facebook and Twitter are controlling the world, and we know how important it is to being responsible socially and being socially active in the social media as a community and as an organization in particular, and how important that brings about the changes. And that was a beautiful example which was quoted by Brother Neelam about volunteering for the community service. I remember how the Ansars of Medina came forward to share whatever they had with the Muhajirs or the immigrants. Well, it is indeed true that a Muslim is helpful for another Muslim brother, and a Muslim cannot be a Muslim unless he fulfills, or his brother, he cannot eat to his full while his brother is hungry. So that is the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, we've had live example of how the impact of social media has on our day-to-day lives, starting with the online classes that we have for our brothers and sisters, our children right now, to the digital literacy conference that we are airing live on YouTube right now. This is how life has changed, and this is how important social media has become as an integral part of our way, and how crowdfunding is important for supporting the needy and especially the non-profit organizations to move ahead and adapt to the technologies that we have for today. From this, I would like to conclude saying that we've had some wonderful knowledge sharing sessions today. We've all had the opportunity to listen to the experts, and we've received some wonderful comments from our participants, and we've also had some questions from our participants. But since we have already exceeded the time, we assure you that all your questions would be answered through our experts. Please post your questions on YouTube. We would make sure that we would answer each one of your questions online on YouTube. And we thank you wholeheartedly for being such wonderful participants and being with us through the session. We thank all our panelists wholeheartedly for taking their time out and joining us from all across the world and supporting this noble cause for self-help for youth. And we thank Janab Ahmed Miran Saab for taking time out for this cause, being a responsible person and taking time out of his busy schedule. That is really important. We are inspired by your presence here, sir. We thank our sponsors, the Professional Couriers and Repute Waters, and our associate partners, IT Expert, ITET Training, and IT Experts Academy. And we thank OMIAT and GTM Global Media, Global Tamil Muslim Media, for being with us. And we hope that our association goes a long way from here. We thank you wholeheartedly for being a part, and we look forward for your association for all the wonderful sessions that are to come in the following weeks. Inshallah, we look forward that this self-help for youth grows much bigger than we all anticipate, inshallah. And we request each and every one of you to help us and support us to grow and in turn support the community and create leaders for the future, inshallah. With this, we come to the end of this program. I thank each one of you wholeheartedly on behalf of Self-Help for Youth. Jazakumullahu khaira. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
يا نبي سلام عليك، يا رسول سلام عليك، يا حبيب سلام عليك، صلوات